Hi guys, I'm joined by another exciting guest. I'm joined by Jemma Hughes, who plays at Gartcain. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So the first question we've got is, how old were you when you started playing football?
I was 7 when I started playing football. I was playing in a local team. It was a boys' team actually, it was Green Gears, so that's where I live. So I played with them when I first started playing football at 7.
And what is your best football memory?
I think that Fir Park recently, just before I left Motherwell, was definitely one of the best moments I've had in football. I obviously scored 2 goals, but one of the memories I'll never forget was winning the league with Glasgow City when I was under 15, so that was exciting. I also scored 2 goals in that game.
If you weren't a footballer, what would you be doing?
Well, I actually don't even know how to answer that, to be honest, because I've never really had life without football. I mean, I did do dancing before football, but that clearly didn't work out for me.
Is
So
there a story behind your number?
there actually isn't. Obviously, I've just came to Gartcain and it was halfway through a season, so I never really had a choice with my number. But numbers don't really bother me. I would take any number as long as I'm pulling a top over my head and getting onto the pitch. It doesn't really matter to me.
Next question is, have you got a dream team to play for and a dream stadium to play at?
Well, I've supported Celtic from a very young age, so definitely playing for Celtic and playing in Parkhead is something that I would like to do.
Have you got any, obviously we're moving on to kind of the mental health side of the interview. Have you got any advice to any teenagers who are struggling with their mental health?
I think that the only advice I could give to somebody who's struggling with mental health is just take it day by day, take it at your own pace, and don't worry about what other people think of you. You just need to be patient with yourself. Because I think, like me personally, I was constantly worrying about what people thought of me, and I put more pressure on myself, which made it harder for me to get through it.
Have you got a quote that helped you when you were struggling with your mental health?
I'm a quote person. I do like quotes, and I've got a lot, but I think the one that's my favourite is definitely "It's a bad day, not a bad life." Like, that's something that I drilled into my head every time I felt like I was struggling. So,
Did you ever think mental health could take over you for your career?
100%. There was times where I felt like I was too much to deal with, and it would have been hard for coaches, obviously, which I thought was unfair. But I feel like when you find a team who support you and they're patient with you, that really helps you. And I definitely think I've found that at Gartcairn. So
What's the hardest part of being a footballer on the mental health side of things?
I think, like, obviously being higher up in the game now, like trying to stay happy and positive in front of people is really difficult when you're actually feeling low within yourself. Especially with younger kids watching you as well. Like, you want to be a role model to them. You don't want them to see that you're feeling that way.
So, moving on, does football have positive and negative impacts on your mental health?
I think it definitely has both. The positive side of it, it obviously gives you a reason. Some people, when they struggle with mental health, they're not wanting to get out of bed, just kind of want to lie about and don't want to do anything with themselves. Whereas when I've got football there, it gives me a reason to get out the house and go to training and be with my teammates, which obviously helps a lot. So, but there definitely is negative sides to it. Like, obviously, every footballer's going to perform poorly at some point. It happens to everybody, and I feel like when you're feeling low within yourself already, and you're having a poor performance, it obviously does make your thoughts a bit low within yourself. But also with the fans, your opponent's fans, that it's not always nice what they're saying to you as well, and that can affect you when you're already feeling pretty low. So
Do you think mental health should be talked about more in football and maybe like training sessions?
I think that like in football, it is starting to get spoke about a lot more, but all round, I think that mental health should be spoke about more within pretty much everything, because it's becoming like such a big thing. It's definitely becoming more common. So not even just in football, I think that mental health should be spoke about a lot more, just on a daily basis.
How do you deal with your mental health if you're going through an injury?
I've obviously just recently come back from injury. I'd fallen at Hampden with Motherwell and I dislocated my shoulder. So this is kind of just me now in February getting back into football, which was really difficult for me. But I felt like how I dealt with it, I went to the gym quite a lot, just really did what I could do. And that really helped me. The gym was really positive for me. So
Is there someone at Gartcain that's there to kind of support you guys mentally?
we do have a chaplain, but I feel like also there's a good few managers and at Gartcain, I felt really comfortable talking to the managers as well. Like obviously the chaplain's really helpful too, so there is a lot of support in Gartcain.
Do you think there's like a stigma around by like playing at a high level, then you're always happy?
Yeah, I definitely do. Growing up, I'd got into the SWPL one with Motherwell when I just turned 17, and something I heard a lot was that I was living the dream because I was playing at such a high level at a young age. But I don't think people realise how difficult it can be because it's like I've just turned 17 and I've got strangers knowing things about me that I've never seen before. And it can be quite difficult, like knowing that there's strangers out there who know quite a lot about you. Do you know what I mean? And it's hard, like people recognising you and stuff like that can be quite like, I was quite taken back by it at first, but you do get used to it. But I feel like, obviously, again, like try to be positive in front of fans when you're feeling low within yourself is really, really difficult because you don't want to give off that kind of image. But
Yeah. Do you feel like you can open up to the club and your teammates when you're having a bad day?
100%. I feel like Gartcairn especially, they've made a lot of time for me, and obviously being out of injury so long, I lost a lot of confidence. So I do feel quite low at times at training when I know that I'm not doing the best that I can do. But I definitely do have the support at Gartcairn, and I feel like they're really positively helping me there. So
See, with social media, obviously, if you follow someone like footballers at high levels or low levels, you can always see how well they're doing. Do you think that impacts like your mental health with thinking, oh, if they're happy playing football, then I should, and kind of other impacts?
yeah, definitely. Like there's a lot of women footballers who do seem to post positive things all the time, but also me knowing that I do struggle mentally, I know that sometimes I can post happy things in social media and that's not how I'm feeling, but you just never know really. Like I feel like mental health is like social media has a quite a big impact in football as well because I feel like people do forget that you're still human beings off the football pitch. Like
Mhm.
people just think that when you're not, I've been in a few situations where people on social media that I don't know have tried to ruin my career by saying that I've done things that I haven't. And I feel like that's happened quite a few times in football, not even just women's football, men's football as well. So social media definitely does impact your mental health, I think.
Mhm. Moving on, did COVID and lockdown make it hard for you for like football? Obviously, you couldn't go to training, you couldn't play with even just your friends. Do you think it was hard for you?
It definitely was. I feel like some football teams definitely they try to do Zoom just to keep us in touch and stuff like that, but it's just not the same. Like I feel like obviously try to find the motivation for yourself to keep yourself fit for when you eventually did get back to football was really difficult because you just didn't have your teammates there to keep you going as well.
Mhm. So, kind of similar to social media, do you think that high expectations and pressure to perform well in football impacts your mental health? If so, how?
I do. I feel like again everybody's going to have a bad game, and I feel like that sometimes it's like even just the fans for your own side can shout things at you that you really don't want to hear at that moment in time. But there is also positives to that because some people can take that and use that as motivation to do better. But it really just depends on how you're feeling that day. Really, if you're feeling low, then it's going to affect you.
Yeah. And last question I've got is in games when it's a final of a cup or even at the end of the season, all points matter. Do you believe these games are more stressful? If so, how do you cope with your mental health?
They're definitely more stressful. I think every footballer could say that to you. There's going to be a lot of pressure on you when you know that you need to win and get those points. But also, I feel like for me personally, it gives me motivation because then I'm like, if I do my best here, then it's going to be worth it in the end. But I think that it's just football's a big mentality game. You just need to take the thoughts that you have and try and switch them around to be positive. But obviously, it's difficult to do that all the time.
Thank you so much for joining me and talking about mental health in football. It's been a pleasure, guys. And if you don't already, go follow Gemma on social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.